ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا.
The International Abrahamic Forum of the International Council of Christians and Jews has chosen to work on the issue of relations between majorities and minorities. Some members of the Forum Steering Committee remember how confusing these relations sometimes were.
My parents had sent me to religious school on a Sunday to learn about my faith and beliefs, and I really enjoyed sharing that with my friends and hearing about what they believed as well.
Well, I'm a Muslim born in Britain, so that would obviously imply that I'm a minority of some status. However, when I was, initially when I went to school, it was in an area which was majority Muslim actually. So whilst living in a non-Muslim country, it actually felt like I was the majority and that non-Muslims, or what we might call the host community, were in the minority.
Even in a country like the United States of America, the majority-minority proportions are changing.
The United States has become a very religiously plural country. And so Protestants who were once in the majority are beginning to come to terms with the fact that this is no longer a majority Protestant nation.
Rethinking your identity, and at the same time continuing instead of resigning from the dialogue, a challenge indeed.
You know, in each religion we have some radical people, and these people want to stop the movement of the interfaith, the movement of the dialogue around us.
There is one place in the world in which Jews are the majority culture, but because of our history, and our history for hundreds or even perhaps thousands of years of being a minority religion in an overwhelming majority religious culture, it's very difficult for us to take responsibility as majority religion in Israel.
In fact, it was an Arab sociologist living in Israel who observed that the tragedy of Israel is that we have a Muslim minority living with the mentality of a majority, living within a Jewish majority with the mentality of a minority.
So how do we break down the barriers between the three Abrahamic faith traditions?
I would like us to arrive at a situation where we can break down the barriers of majority and minority. So communities like Muslims or other religious traditions from minority backgrounds can approach dialogue and interaction on a level where they are not seen as a minority, but actually approach the situation and issues as a majority, just as the way the host community is seen as a majority.
We're seeing that not knowing about each other or not knowing how to interact is a real problem and drawback, and part of what I do is working with young people to equip them with the skills and the confidence and a little bit of the knowledge that they need to interact positively with people.
I actually think that it's a positive experience for people to live as a minority. I think everyone should have the opportunity to live as a minority somewhere, religiously, ethnically, racially, because that opens a certain sensitivity to what it's like to live as someone who is not in the majority culture.
The interreligious dialogue between Christians, Jews and Muslims. What is that all about?
Professor Krista Stendhal, the former Bishop of Stockholm and Dean of Harvard Divinity School, said that in the eyes of God, we are all minority. From God's perspective, there's no majority or minority. We are all minorities, and therefore we must try to live with one another with peace and humility.
בטרם כל יציר נברא